Hiya folks, how are we getting on? Well, I trust. Hope everyone's going okay for you. It's me, Marty McCauley, back with another Irish whisky review. Although, as you can probably see, this is a Scotch again tonight. And probably one a lot of guys aren't that familiar with. It's not a big name distillery, but probably one that people will start to hear an awful lot more about. Secondary market prices over the last while have went skyrocketing for certain brands. Macallan has always been the sort of number one collectible whisky, just is. Even though, to be honest, most of the Macallans I've tasted over the last while, for a long time now actually, they're not brilliant. They're good quality spirit as you would expect, but there's other far more exciting brands about. But it's the number one. Macallan sales just have went through the roof. People are just collecting it, investing in it, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of has got to a point where people are now looking, what's the next brand? And the obvious choice was Springbank. If you ever get a chance of going to Springbank, go. It's fabulous place. Campbelltown's a fabulous place, and it's going to get more and more and more relevant, popular, and so on. So Springbank, prices of it have just shot up. It's just ridiculous, really, how quickly it's went up. So it's flavour of the month. Over the next probably few months, what you're going to see is more and more a few other brands probably start to head towards like Macallan, like Springbank. And if you are watching these things, you can kind of guess, hedge your bets which ones it's going to be. I'm going to say Glen Scotia, the other Campbelltown distillery. Glen Scotia make wonderful spirit. Just superb stuff. In many ways, probably tastier. Some bottles are tastier than Springbank. Although you love Springbank. If you don't know the history, go and check it out. So Glen Scotia's a possible contender. Sort of missed that there. I was aiming for that. I was aiming for this and sort of tried to hit that. I was like, out the corner of my eye. GlenDronach. GlenDronach is very well received. Lots of people rave about it, especially the older bottlings. Now at the minute, it's quite reasonable to buy 20 year plus GlenDronachs at auction. I think, only my opinion folks, not telling anybody what to do, but I think if you're buying a 20 year plus bottle of GlenDronach for £150 at the minute, you won't be doing that for very long. It will go through the roof in the not too distant future. I may be wrong. Don't come back to me and say, "Oh, Marty, you said." No, don't be doing that. But I've said this for a while. Glen Scotia probably is going to start heading big time prices, and this stuff, GlenDronach. This is a new release. It's not out very long, and this is GlenDronach Portwood single malt Scotch Whisky Highland. I was going to say single cask there. I don't know why. Now 46%, natural colour, which is a very, very nice natural colour. But they have started chill filtering, and this has caused a lot of people to go, we don't like this, because they didn't do it for a long time. That's what it is. I don't particularly like chill filtration. Don't particularly mind colouring. I don't think it makes much difference, the colour. But I do tend to think chill filtration thins out the body. And it does have an effect. So yeah, again, colouring, and take it or leave it. I think it's more gimmicky than anything else. It's for standardised blends, and if you're paying I don't know, £20 for a bottle, and it's got colouring in it. Big deal, you know. As it moves on, I prefer not to have it, because I think you lose that little bit of connection with the spirit and the casks and stuff. But it's not as big a deal to me as the chill filtration. This is now not stating that it's not chill filtered, so therefore you have to assume that it is. So yeah, is that a drop in quality? Yes and no. Yes and no. It's just a different industrial process. But it's bottled at 46%. But as I say, it doesn't say, it just says natural colour. Or just to say non-chill filtered as well. So yeah. Anyway. Now, I'll just read a little bit on the back of the tube. Deep in the East Highland Hills, the GlenDronach distillery has been crafting rich, full-bodied, single malt Scotch whisky since 1826. Now, the fact they've said that it's full-bodied, really, if you're going to chill filter, don't highlight the fact that chill filtration takes away from the body. You know, probably best not to chill filter if you want to highlight this as an aspect. I like full-bodied stuff. I like that kind of rich chewiness in the mouth, you know. Our founder, James Allardyce, built his distillery in the rural valley of Portugal in Aberdeenshire and named it Glendronach, meaning Valley of the Brambles. Doesn't sound the most appetising place to be going. In Scottish Gaelic. Here he discovered the rich depths of sherry oak maturation. The GlenDronach distillery has become renowned for its signature style of whisky, matured in the finest Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso sherry casks. GlenDronach is renowned for being a sherry bomb, but it obviously has that. But what GlenDronach brings to the table as well is kind of an old style of whisky. And what I mean by that is it's not overly sweet. It has sweetness and lots of it, but it's done in a way that it's kind of reminiscent of an older style of whisky. That if you taste an old Johnny Walker, it doesn't taste unlike modern Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker now is really quite light, very little peat, and it's much more sort of bourbon-esque. It's got that, or bourbon-esque cask. It's got that sort of vanilla, lighter thing. 40 years ago, 50 years ago, that's not how Johnny Walker was. 60 years ago, it certainly wasn't like that. It was much more tarry, much more sort of dusty, rustic elements to it. And over time, with deliberately and to meet the modern palate and what they call flavour drift, it has moved away from what it used to be. GlenDronach, on the other hand, has kind of kept that, and it's kept that as a sort of signature. Now, there's no age statement on this, which is a bit of a shame, really, because it would be quite nice if they could put a bit more information on what's in the bottle. Again, age statements are just a connection to the product you've bought. The reason they don't put them on is because people automatically assume if they've put some young whisky in this, then it has to go by the youngest age, and ergo there might be some young whisky in this bottle, and it could be 5 years old. So they'd have to put 5-year-old age statement. The bulk of this is older than that. You can taste it. But because they've probably blended it with some newer stock to meet production levels, they've had to step back from the age statements. Does it make much difference? It does and it doesn't. And certainly in terms of collectability, you want age statements. So these will probably never go firing up through the roof, but what they will do is, in terms of collectability, they'll always have a cachet. And in a few years' time, when you're opening a bottle of GlenDronach, people will go, oh, this is nice, good. We're glad we're getting one of these. So what's it actually like? Now, this is Port Wood, okay? So it's a little variation on the sherry cask. The GlenDronach Port Wood is inspired by the historical import of casked port into Scotland during the 19th century. During the 1800s, port was de rigueur, And many of the finest port pipes will travel from Portugal down its Douro River, destined for the wine cellars of the Scotland's gentry. Yeah, which many years have since passed, Portugal's majestic Douro Valley is still renowned for its exceptional port. We have selected some of its finest port pipes to enrich the GlenDronach for a second maturation period. To create a fruit-filled expression with layers of ripe berries rolling into its signature long, lingering finish. Distilled, matured and bottled by the proprietors. Yes, now... Quite like the tube. It's kind of a standard thing that GlenDronach have. So on the nose, it's a bit more woody than porty. It says port wood. It's going to be a bit more wood. And it's coming through in the sweetness that's coming through on the nose. It's tempered really, really quite a lot by, one, the 46%. The alcohol coming off it is sort of taken away from the nose. This does take a little bit of water to really open it up and bring it forward and present really what's all there. When you nose this, you can feel there's a little suppression on what's coming up. And that little bit of water just takes that away and allows layers upon layers of fruit to start coming out. First thing that hits me, cherry liqueurs. Cherry liqueur chocolates. Lots of chocolate, lots of that cherry, the sort of artificially sweet cherry that you get inside those little chocolate liqueurs. This isn't at its best in this state. We touch of water. So what we'll do is we put in, that's about a quarter of a teaspoon, and give it a little second. Give it a little swishy swishy. It's on here, it says it's given a whole pile of stuff, which doesn't, I mean, it's cherry blossom. I'm not getting cherry blossom off this, it's full on cherry. But now the water's in it a little bit. And straight away it's opened up, and on the nose you're getting those slightly floral notes coming through, but lots of bramble fruit. Maybe I was when I've said it wasn't the most appetizing. Brambles are those wee thorny, very big thorny bushes, which if you do any gardening and run into them, they're a real pain in the arse to get rid of. But yeah, the bramble fruit coming through. There's floral notes, so it's roses, bramble fruit, cherries, and that floral note is kind of deceptive because it works on a couple of different levels. The fruit is quite intense fruit, and the floral note's quite light, so it's bouncing in between the two. I wouldn't say it's the most balanced drink I've ever had, because it's a little bit disjointed. Quite pleasant, but not balanced. Maturation cherries, cherry flavouring, loads and loads of chili chocolate at the back, a slight chili burn, which is really nice, really pleasant and nice. The fruit layers that are coming on, it's jammy, it has a decent body. At the very end there's a little touch of mint comes in, which is quite pleasant as well. So you've got all of this layering through, which makes this really good. Really good for certain people. I'm not overly enamoured of this bottle. I quite like port casks. I don't think this one works as well as some of the others that I've had. It just kind of unbalanced. But for some people, they'll love this because it works on all these different layers. And they'll be able to pick up on different things in it. This might sound like sacrilege, but you know what this would probably work quite well with? A drop of white lemonade in it. Drop of 7-Up or something would probably be quite nice. I know this is probably sacrilege to most whiskey buffs, but to lots of people who do these kind of things, this will go well in cocktails because it has that different layers of stuff. Just wouldn't necessarily be my cup of tea, or sort of whiskey purists, it wouldn't really sit that well with them. But as you let this go, some of the stuff you get on the tail end has made its way through to the nose. There's a very sort of faint mint leaf there, which is crossover into the floral notes. You know, once it's been out a little bit in the glass. But again, GlenDronach has that old style sharpness, almost like a rustic quality to it that comes through from start to finish. And GlenDronach, it's nice to have that. It tempers the sweetness quite a lot, and it doesn't let the sherry casks and the port cask sweetness run away with itself. It pulls it back in again and gives it a really sort of unique character to GlenDronach's. Have to mark it. I'm not going to mark this too high, really, because it's not the best port cask I've had. It's certainly not the best GlenDronach I've had, and it's not that cheap, but it's not prohibitively expensive at the minute. So if you're going to try these, get them picked up now. Or if you want to invest in them, go to the auction sites and pick up some GlenDronachs, because I think in a year or 2 years time, you'll not pick them up that cheap. So if I have to give it a mark, I'm only going to give it a sort of 6 out of 10. Yeah, it could be better, but it's not bad. But give it a whirl and do try them now before you turn around and say it's going crazy, too expensive. So try it with GlenDronach. You'll hear a lot more about them going forward. So yes, enjoy yourself. Salutations and goodwill and all that kind of stuff. And I shall see you again soon. Don't forget to join me and Justin on Saturday nights, 10 o'clock, Greenwich Mean Time. Tune in to the Irish Whisky Review, where me and him talk travel and I keep him going about his wee baldy head. So come and join us. Normally it's a bit of a laugh. Okay, take care, guys.